Hello, my name is John Potter. I'm the Executive Director of the Latchis, and we are here in Open Studio to talk about the Robert Fritz Film Festival. And with me today in the studio is Robert Fritz, filmmaker, author, composer, friend of mine, and many others. I'm glad to be with you today to talk about these films.
Well, thank you, John.
And we are very proud and pleased to have the Robert Fritz Film Festival, the first local showcase of your feature films and some of your other work. And it's going to run from March 17th to 19th, each night at 7 o'clock at the Latchis Main Theatre. And we are just absolutely thrilled. And we know audiences are going to love these films, and we want to make sure they come see them because they're totally worth it. And we're here to talk about it today. So
yeah, great. Thank you, John.
So I'd like to have you start by just, let's just talk about all the films that we're going to be showing and a little bit about what they're about, and then we can dive a little deeper in. So,
okay. So every night we're showing a short film and then a feature film. And the first night is a film I made in Sweden, the short film. It's called Act Two. It's got two of the most brilliant actors in Europe in it, Latchis Theatre and Michel Riedez. And it's a middle-aged love story. The two people meet each other after a number of years and things happen. That film has won the Grand Jury Prize at the Woods Hole Film Festival and was Audience Choice Award at a Cannes Film Festival related to the Cannes Festival. It was nominated for Best Short Film at the Berlin International Film Festival and so on. So it's really quite a marvelous little piece. And then following that is a film that we shot in and around Brattleboro called Twice. And it was actually shot at Twice Upon a Time, the store Twice Upon a Time. And the story centers around that store. And that's just a very wonderful film, I think. It stars Natalie Nielsen and Indra Tracy, who just are both brilliant. And they're both local actors. The next night, the short it's actually called The Spirit of the Vessel, but we put it on the poster so people know what it actually is. It's the art of Stephen Proctor, who's one of the masters of pottery. And this is a fantastic film watching his creative process as he makes these beautiful, large pots that you see all around here, you know, because you see his work all over this area, but it's also an international, he's an artist that people buy his works and have all over the world. And the feature film that night is called Past Tense. Again, it stars Natalie Nielsen and Indra Tracy and also Damon Lee, who's a wonderful actor from New York who we found there when we were doing an audition for a different film. And that's a story that's got a little bit more, I don't want to give it away, but it's, I'll just say there's a ghost in this story, but it's not a ghost story, but there's a ghost in this story. And on the final night, the 19th, there's a short film called The Town Clerk of Newfane. And it's sort of like a love letter about local government and how things work, and it's just a beautiful little film. And that's followed by Chasing Rainbows, which is a dramatic musical. Chasing Rainbows was released just this past January, a year ago. And in that year, it won 32 awards from different festivals and so on. It's really quite a marvelous film. That also stars Latchis Theatre, and I brought her from Sweden to come and do this film. And we shot it, most of it around here, and some of it in Boston and a couple of things in Sweden.
Great. And I want to make it clear that not just, all of these films have won awards and been honored for many facets of what they've accomplished, from acting, directing, screenwriting, music, audience appreciation, and special awards of special merit. So these are quite accomplished and quite acknowledged films that we're going to be showing. And I think it's over 90 awards and citations and various acclamations, which is no small feat by any stretch. I wanted to just delve a little bit with you into the creation of these films, and you are the screenwriter or co-screenwriter for all of them. Yeah,
actually, I'm the screenwriter for all the features, and I co-wrote the script for Act 2, which is the Swedish short film, with Michelle. But no, I wrote the rest of them. Yeah.
So tell me what's important to you in a story, and in a story that you're telling for film, and how do you approach creating something like that?
Yeah, you know, I start with the actors. So if I have actors I want to work with, then I try to build a story around them. It's like writing for a particular instrumentalist if you're a composer. And then I really like redemptive stories. And I'm very much a structuralist. So I very much think in terms of what's the dramatic conflict, what does the protagonist want, what's the opposition, what are the reversals, what are the complications, and try to build a three-act form. I'm also like, I would say, small personal stories versus big epics. You know, stories that really have some kind of relational meat to them. You know, we're really looking at the relationships among people and how people impact each other. And those are the kinds of stories that interest me. And it's kind of weird, but almost all my stories are centered around female leads. And so one of the actors asked me, why do you always write stories about girls? And I couldn't come up with an answer except those were interesting stories to me.
I don't want to, you know, over extrapolate, but because these films stand on their own and they're terrific on their own, but it seems like there's a strong element of the past and either a disconnect or a something which intervenes between the past and the present with a great many of your characters and storylines. I thought that was certainly a common theme,
there is
common concept.
There is that, and I think it's partly because I think it's a really interesting subject and kind of thing I'm always interested in. And also because these are low-budget films. So I don't have car crashes, I don't have, planes, shooting up each other. And so what could be interesting, where you really don't have a lot of effect. And what's very interesting to me is the kind of decisions that people make, the choice points in their life. And often, in terms of the past and the present, past tense, for example, is a story about a girl whose parents have died when she was 11, and she can't get over it. And this is kind of an aspect of grief that a lot of people who have gone through grief understand, how hard it is to accept the reality that the person's gone. And the longer they hold on to the past, the more disconnected they become to the present. And so it automatically creates a crisis point and an important choice point for the character. Does she keep holding on, or does she acknowledge the truth that her parents are gone, and that she, in order to move on, has to put the past behind her?
That's fascinating.
She's also, by the way, in this film, a writer, and so the past tense has a double meaning in terms of writing. She's a writing teacher that says, look, write in the present tense, even though it's about the past. Write in the present tense; it'll come alive.
Interesting. Yeah. That's an important moment there. Actually, that's another point for me. Is there is an awful lot about creativity and expressed in many forms, music and writing in particular, that come up in your films as well through the characters' lives. I think that's clearly an important part of what they're going through and what you're bringing to the screen.
I think so. And it's interesting to me, to watch creative people is really interesting to me. So they all end up being creative. What do you know?
What do you know? There they are. I think maybe we should take a look at films from the first night. I think Twice is up.
Twice is the one that was shot at Twice Upon a Time. And this is a trailer to give you a taste of it.
Great.
just get out of jail or something?
Maybe.
Can you at least tell me where you're taking me?
I want it to be a surprise.
Well, I don't like to think about the future very much.
Bank robbery is a felony. It's 25 to life.
Did he rob a bank?
Not yet.
Is it a crime to plan to rob a bank?
So that was a little taste of Twice, and I want to certainly hold up, I think we saw it there, how prominent Brattleboro is in the film. I think we talked about it almost being a character in the film.
It is.
It certainly opened my eyes to what our town could be as a filmmaking venue, and the various looks and you know, scenic wonders that it presents, both as a backdrop and as a prominent feature. But I think local folks will enjoy that aspect of it, in addition to the really, really interesting story that you tell. So that is Twice.
Yeah, and Brattleboro is a character in the film. And we got a lot of help from different folks in Brattleboro, stores, the police department, just a tremendous amount of support. So that was really great.
Yeah, you'll get to see what Brattleboro's like as a scene, as a setting. And I do want to hold up Act 2, which is also that first night. It's just a gem of a film, about 35
minutes, yeah.
And it's like a sweet piece of chamber music. It's a shorter form, but it has depth and beauty, and it's just brilliantly acted, and it really touches, has the power to touch, like a very well-written short story. It's something in a smaller form that has a very big impact that stays with you, and that's going to be a very special night of film viewing for people. While we're speaking, I just want to also remind folks that these films are a benefit for the Brattleboro Museum and Art Center, and we really appreciate them in our community, and we're pleased to do what we can to help them.
That's great, yeah.
So perhaps we can move a bit to the second night, and the film about Stephen Proctor and Past Tense. And maybe you could start a little bit by talking about the Stephen Proctor film, what you were trying to capture there.
It was interesting because before I shot the film, I looked at a lot of films about potters and sculptors and listened to what they were talking about, and they were just saying the most ridiculous things about their work. You'd have somebody making a beautiful piece, and they'd saying, you know, nonsense about it. And my idea was, and I saw something that Stephen had done where he talked about his work, and I thought he was so humble that he was making these amazing things, and he was being very almost dismissive of them. And I thought the best approach was to just not let him talk and show him work. And and there's something so sensual about this film, watching his hands in the clay, watching how he puts things together, watching how he makes artistic decisions, and also watching the incredible results he gets. It's much more powerful than if he were saying anything about. It's almost like you say something about something that's so visually stunning that it takes away from it versus adds to it. And that was the idea behind that particular film. Yeah.
And then we have...
you know, I just wanted to do justice to his art.
Yeah, a very, very worthy subject. And then we have Past Tense, a feature film as well that night, and I think maybe we should take a look at a trailer from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I was 11, I spent a lot of time in a cemetery. Too much time. But I began to read the tombstones. And there they were. People from some previous age. People who had stories to tell. People who once walked the earth. Who loved and hated and suffered. People who had moments of joy and had feelings and opinions and beliefs. And their lives seemed to live on somehow in these stones. So I guess I became a collector of sorts.
What's happening?
I feel like I'm going crazy.
These are kind of spooky.
Do you ever hear voices?
Yeah.
You do.
Are you? I can see you. I can see you. Help me find it. I can see you. I can see you.
There was past tense. We promised you a ghost, and there she was. Before we move on to night 3, I would like you to talk just really briefly about the locations in past tense. What are some of the local spots where
of course, as you saw in the beginning, it's a wonderful cemetery, old cemetery. And I was actually driving by a cemetery, and I had the idea of the grave rubbing as the first image I had for the film before I even had the story. And then I started looking for the right, graveyard, which was about less than a mile from my house. And we're all around, in this case, a lot of Newfane and Brattleboro, and we shot a lot of scenes at T.J. Buckley's, which is one of the major locations in the film. And all around Brattleboro, too. She takes a bike around Brattleboro, and of course, Vermont covered bridges and so on and so on.
Yeah, it'll seem very familiar to all of us. So we move to the third night, March 19th, and we have your love letter to the Newfane town clerk. And from love letters, we then move on to some jazz love songs and other things in Chasing Rainbows. If you could talk about Chasing Rainbows and what kind of a film it is, and the role of music and the relationship of this wonderful jazz and some classical music as well in the film. It's an important element.
It's well, I think of it in the vein of New York, New York, or Cabaret, or Around Midnight, which is a fantastic film. And so it's a film in which music plays an important part. And all of the songs in the film, the traditional songs are public domain songs. So, Chasing Rainbows itself is public domain. We picked out certain songs, and then Jim Margero, who's one of the great arrangers, musicians, music directors. He was the music director for Sonny and Cher and Leslie Uggams, and he worked with everybody in sight. And he's a good friend. And he, by the way, is acting in the other 2 films, and he's arranged all the club music in this film for me. So what I noticed in Sheesty's reel, that she was in a film where she played a singer, and she blew me away with her singing. And I found out that she was actually a jazz singer before she was an actress. And so I had this idea that if I could, all these talented people around, I could put them together and come up with a terrific kind of result. The story itself is based on Monteverdi's Orpheus, which was considered the first opera in music history. and in Orpheus goes into the underworld to find his wife. In this case, it's a girl who found out she was adopted, and she goes into the darker side of Boston to find her mother, her parents, but she finds her mother. And that's there's a lot of music in the film. There's some original songs. Jim wrote a lot of original music. I wrote the score, the actual film score. And we won, Jim and I won a Global Music Award for that. And Shishti won a Global Music Award for her singing in the film.
Yep.
Yeah. And this film has won, since I told you, 32 awards since it's been released last January. It's been very well accepted.
Yep. Its appeal, it will reach you on a film level, the acting, the story, and the music is legit. The music is not a supplemental play or in the hands of the wrong people. The music is absolutely in the right people who know what they're doing and make it really beautiful. It's a fascinating and just thrilling film from that perspective. And let's take a little bit of a look.
Good idea.
Sister.
My schemes are just like all my dreams. Shit! Ending.
You got any questions?
Ending in the sky.
What's this?
Drive.
Where?
I'll tell you.
I always look and find the rain. Some people make it winning sometime. I never ever make a gain. Believe me, I'm always changing rainbows, waiting to find a little bluebird in vain.
I need this one done by the end of the week.
What's it all about?
It's a new guy getting in my way. And you know how I hate to have anybody get in my way.
Okay.
Anyone.
Yo, that's that bitch right there.
So, you want to sleep with me?
You're fantastic.
It must hurt being all tied up like that.
Vad hände egentligen?
Du vet vad som hände. Han attackerade mig och jag försvarade mig själv. Du växte upp med honom. Du visste att han hade våldsamma drag.
Ja, visst.
Who are you?
Can't you guess?
Just cut the shit and tell me who you are.
I'm your daughter.
Waiting to find a little bluebird in
gets under your skin. Even if you don't want to have anything to do with her, she gets under your skin.
So that's a little taste of Chasing Rainbows, and we hope you come to the Latchis Theatre on Saturday, March 19th for the whole thing. We have just a little bit of time left, so I do want to reiterate to folks when the Robert Fritz Film Festival is. It's at the Latchis Theatre, Thursday, March 17th, Friday, March 18th, and Saturday, March 19th, every night at 7 p.m., a short film and a feature film. And there will be some post-film conversation.
Yeah.
And are there going to be some other folks joining you for that?
I think Natalie Nielsen will be there some of the time.
Wonderful.
Jim Marchero's coming. So a few of the other actors are going to be there. That should be great. They're such great people.
And there are a lot of local folks involved as well, and I expect that they'll be around to celebrate your film and your work.
Well, just to also say, you know, it's the first time that we've screened these films in Brattleboro, even though they've been shot mostly around Brattleboro and Newfane in this area. So for me, it's quite a thrill to be able to share this with the Brattleboro audience.
Yeah, for us too, absolutely. We're just thrilled. All proceeds benefit the Brattleboro Museum and Art Center. So please come and tell your friends and come see what is possible as far as filmmaking in our area. I think that's one other thing that this festival uplifts is there's a lot of great creative work happening in this area, and film is part of that. And these films are examples of that to the highest degree, and we're absolutely thrilled to have the festival with us.
Also, thank you, John, because you're the prime mover in this thing, and I really appreciate you.
It's my pleasure. I will say, with just a couple of seconds, Robert and I did have a chance to create together, work a little bit together on a screenplay, and it was a pretty life-changing experience for me. My wife will tell you, I've never looked at films the same way since then, and that's in a good way.
So I haven't ruined you.
You haven't ruined me for films, which is good since I'm at the Latchis. So again, Robert Fritz Film Festival at the Latchis Theatre, March 17th to 19th, a benefit for the Brattleboro Museum and Arts Center, presented with the help of the Vermont Arts Council. And information is available at latchisarts.org. Please come and tell your friends.